This is your weekend market review for Friday, January 17th, 2025. Let's go.
Hey everyone, this is my channel to help investors and traders develop a probability-based mindset to succeed. Also try and keep friends informed of what's going on in the markets and the economy, and also a little real estate content as well.
This is Dan Max at eXp Realty, aka the Trading Agent. This is your weekend market review for Friday, July 17th, 2025, going into MLK weekend. Hopefully you are doing great. Interesting close. I mean, the market closed pretty strong, but after hours, Yellen comes out and says the Treasury will basically run out of funds on the 21st. I'm always skeptical and worried about Friday afternoon news releases because they're usually pretty sneaky. They just don't, again, bad news released on a Friday afternoon. Sometimes you see pullbacks on Friday. We didn't get one today. Ironically, again, it was a OPEX of basically straight up, knocking out the oversold conditions. However, the VIVX started waking up again, and you saw some, I don't know, but I would say interesting moves. Again, the supposedly Bitcoin National Reserve. We'll see. Again, Trump speaks on Monday. If I remember correct is the inauguration, even though that is MLK. Either way, if it's not the 20th, 21st. But point being, ultimately, market is believing that he has the magic touch to heal it all, and we will see. Again, I personally believe it's going to be hard trudging initially. Again, there's actually talks of a lot of wild stuff happening next week. I hope to God all of it's wrong. I don't even want to bring it up, but we'll see if it does. That's why, I don't know, I think sometimes the best platform for information can be X. So there's a lot of crap on there, but there also is a lot of good people posting stuff. So, new to the channel, check out the Discord room, link description below. I appreciate all the love, support, generous donations. If you're looking to buy, sell, invest in real estate, use the link in the description. Either one. Let me know how I can help. Let's chat. If you're looking to invest, especially, no doubt. I mean, I've been posting this. The builders are giving away. I mean, I post some day. David Weekley's giving $46,000 worth of potential credits to new homes. $46,000. If you want a piece of the pie, you want a piece of this, lower rates, buy downs from builders, please don't hesitate to reach out. Also follow, like, subscribe on Twitter. If you want to hit the thanks button on YouTube, I appreciate it. Notifications, like, subscribe, notification bell. And again, tons of resources on our videos, but also check out the webpage, tradingagent.com, updating as we go, continue to add new things. Probably add a blog page at some point. We'll do more and more for the whole kit and caboodle. I think it's just, again, the more that you guys are involved, the more that I build this out. I appreciate it. Appreciate all the love, support. Like, subscribes, hit the heart button, leave a comment. I mean, just something simple. It helps support the channel, clicking on things. Again, I appreciate it. Here to serve. Y'all know the dilly. Dilly. We know going into next week, it's pretty quiet, honestly. It's the start of earnings. You got Netflix, you got a few small names, you got barely, I don't know. It's almost like the Fed's meetings and then the big earnings week coincide, which isn't until next week. You got a holiday week, Monday off. So again, we'll see what happens. I mean, you should see some pullbacks. If you go look, again, do you have your Stock Traders Almanac? You should. If you want to get it, right? Do you want to get it? It's also on my webpage. Click on the link. I'd appreciate it. You get like a penny if you buy it. So that's bullish next week, but that's where, again, if you've ever traded, there's usually a pullback mid-January and mid-February after the OPEXs. We shall see. Bitcoin back up at the range highs. Talked about breaking the trend line. Okay, on the National Reserve, just chat. I mean, this is the hardest thing about something like this. And again, I'm not trying to be negative, positive, whatever, kiss Bitcoin butt, whatever you want to call it. I am not a big fan of a revolving headline that goes over and over again, and it just doesn't, and it seems to get into chop zone. Again, I'd love to see an implementation of this as if it's really real. But either way, if you're bullish, you need to get over the old highs. If you're bearish, you need to break below lows. If not, it's going to be chop. Oil, as we talked about, due to pull back. Nice overbought conditions. Got the China data last night. Rallied into that potentially. Commodities as a whole. We'll see what happens. Natty gas got, not overbought, but we've talked about this. It's been holding up really dang well. Today's action is not showing up for some reason. Let's hit the refresh. Eat fresh. Subway, eat fresh, refresh. Ugh. Subway, gross. If you like yoga mats and hard plastics, that's where you shop. That's where you eat. Yeah, pulling back again. Not surprised by some rumors, sell the news on some of the China data, but also ultimately, I think if you look at it, we've talked about ultimately. I mean, I'm not sitting here trying to be bearish, anything other than just being careful with the market. In my opinion, I've said it's a trader's market. There's things that are up, things that are down, but ultimately, again, I think there's more downside room in the market. And again, sometimes you're going to be wrong. That's the nature of the beast. Dollar, again, this thing has been cranking. If you take out the the ex div, you're new highs. You're just continuing to crank, which that's got to be nerve wracking for the rest of the world and the Feds. The TLT, the tittle, we talked about this holding the 8 and 10 day. Is this gap up the bottom? Looks like it. But again, you had to have big cojones to buy in front of the CPI. Congratulations if you did. The VIX, we talked about this basing down here in the 250-day area. Look at the VIX today. Again, I'm not saying like, wow, monumental, epic, big move, but look at this. All right, it's definitely bottom. Keep an eye on it. SPY tried to get up towards the 600 level. 1.618, another doji. I mean, look at these candles. You gap up, small range. Gap up, down range. Gap up, doji. Something's fishy. That's all I'm going to say there. Again, next week, well, let me just go a little deeper. Next week, if I'm you, again, I'm using that 1.618. I'm using this 599, 600 level as a reference. Got to get through it or it's going to fail. And if it fails, great place to short. Look at today's candle, right? Just ugly as fudge. Fudgesicle. I mean, let's just put a freaking bow on that guy. Because, again, I mean, the QQQ's been lagging. Just keep it simple, stupid. IWM, we talked about this blue zone in the mid-220s. Gaps up. Kind of closes basically where the high of Wednesday. I mean, at worst, you're consolidating here before going higher, or this could be inflection points. That's how I look at it. That's why you have to use the levels and confirm them. DIA, this went from oversold to a nice bounce up to the 50-day. High volume, high candles. Love to retest. Look at that. A big fan of this. Again, if you ever listen to TraderFlorida.net, he's a big fan of this. He talks about high volume candle highs and lows are tractor beams. Right? Let's see what happens next. Gold. Everyone's selling gold to buy Bitcoin. Okay, we'll see. Right? It looks like it's broken the downtrend. Personally, again, I think this could be a chop zone, but personally, not going to do anything with it. Silver, waiting. Again, these names seem to be lagging. GDX, the miners are not. I mean, again, these days when the markets are up, miners are flat, up 0.5%. GDXJ, the junior miners, should be up 2-3%. No, not so much. AEM, we've talked about AEM. I like AEM long term, but I want to see it pull back. It's a big chop zone, in my opinion, from like 90 to 75. If it flushes out of the 75 low range, I'll get really excited. AG just had a nice little bounce today. Cool. Chopping around. Newmont, this thing should be in the 70s. Not. However, it does look like it's bottomed. I just don't know how much. And when I say how much, right, like, I don't trust it, if that makes sense. Pull, right? I'm trying to like think of this. I mean, I feel like if you hold the 40s, you could be okay. Pass. Keep an eye on pass. Like this one, it's just chopping around. Again, I like these names long term. I think if you disappear for a year, you're going to be fine. But there could be pain in the medium term. Taiwan Semi talked about this yesterday being the double top retest. You're welcome. Look at that. I mean, when the day the market's cranking, what is this doing? Pulling back. Needs a break below basically 211 and it could go lower quickly. Micron popped on the NVDA news, gapped up, and now it seems to be okay. It's at this trend line, but again, that's why we don't bring rulers. I'd be watching the 200-day. When you zoom out, you go, okay, it's some better in some of the names, but it looks like a big chop zone. AMD, again, I think this thing is an absolute turd bucket. 20-day is a good reference to short against. Once you get over the 20-day, maybe you could get to the 50, but I mean, this thing is just dog shit. Excuse my language. NVIDIA, I mean, I like this. We've talked about this. This is the short of 2025, in my opinion. Just the market cap alone, and this just doesn't justify the value of where it could be down at to. I mean, this is probably a true value of the stock, probably somewhere in this 50 to 80 range. And that's why I think if you're shorted, I think you're going to do pretty good. Again, just define me. You double topped, you got it, and now you just need a break below 127. SMCI, again, they cooked the books. I don't know the real value of this company. I struggle with this one. Intellectual property, again, as soon as it get off the bottom, nice work, guys. We got another buyout rumor. It's not the first time we've seen this before. Again, I personally think that if they do get bought out, it's not going to be at some premium. It's going to be at $20, $21, $23. So keep an eye on it. Again, if you bought it at 19, we talked about, or 18 and change, you had a reference point. Avago, Jay Solstice dropping some fire about calls being bought on this. Interesting action, after a big move up, consolidation. If more calls are coming in, would love to see this thing break. I mean, you could technically do a little baby trend line. Sorry, I just got a text. I thought it was importante. You could say, you're right at breaking out, flagging out. So if it does, there's a lot of room for this thing to just go nuts. So keep an eye on it. SMH. I mean, that's the thing we talk about. This it's not all even when it comes to semiconductors. This thing's a big chop zone. Just a matter of time, in my opinion, before it fails. But we'll see what happens here. Again, you don't know anything for certain. You're trading probabilities. We talk about this. Adobe, oversold bounce, the 20-day, doink. Apple, I mean, dude, Apple's got issues, in my opinion. The stock does not look good. I've talked about how they're just giving away phones, and they're the third most popular phone now in China. Remember weren't they number one at one point? I can't remember the exact data, but not looking so hot. Amazon seems to be holding up pretty well. Choppy, not really saying much. Meta, again, I like the short from the 630s. Look at the candle. We talked about this, drew this out today. So watch this level. Doink. Da-da-doink. Got to get over it if you're bullish. CRM, oversold bounce. It's trying. Chop is not necessarily bullish, but we'll see, especially in a downtrend. Guggenheim, we talked about they've got the Quantum 2 chips. Seems to be holding up high and tight. See, like chop in an uptrend is bullish. Chop in a downtrend is bearish. Makes sense? Microsoft, right? This one looks just, I don't know, big chop zone. I mean, gaps up at the open, just gives it all back. Things that don't really make sense. NDAQ, we've talked about this one. I mean, I like the idea of this being one of the better shorts for 2025 as well. Because I think once you leave tech and you roll into commodities, you see that the biggest winner of ultimately a tech war is the inputs. It's not the actual guys producing the tech. So guess what? 50-day. Not surprised. I mean, especially during OPEX. You get these bounces. You get moves to levels that you might not expect. And sometimes it happens. MicroStrategy trying to catch up. We said if Bitcoin continues higher, this should go. I mean, maybe you get into the 440s. It's just, I don't know if you're going to break out unless something crazy happens. Netflix and chill, Netflix and spill. Netflix has earnings on Tuesday. Ten cuidado. Roblox has been holding up pretty well. Credit where credit's due. Not much to say. I mean, I think you got more room to upside if you're going to keep cranking. PanW, we've talked about this, hit the 200-day. Got the bounce. Look at today's candle. Hits the 20-day. Rejection. We talk about 20-day in a downtrend is usually a rejection spot. I mean, again, if you've been watching the channel, leave a comment below. Hit the heart. Like, let me know if you've noticed that. Like, the 20-day is great when the trends start to establish. Like, again, usually it's at the 8 and 10 day at the beginning and then the 20. Tesla was saying, watch this today for a breakout. Fills the gap and then slightly disappointed. I mean, look where you went right back to the breakout. So it's like, oh, you need more information. Damn it. Insight, this is one, again, we've talked about. This one is a buyout target. Again, tech in general seems to be the laggard in time, in my opinion. It will lag the overall market. Palantir, a lot of people are like, what are you talking about? It's been a leader forever. It's like, that's what happens. You get 5-6 years of leadership, you rotate out. Talked about this one being overbought, makes that fake new high, bust right back down below it. Now you're bouncing. I mean, 20-day would make sense to watch what happens there. McDonald's, not loving it. I mean, the owners of the stock aren't. Seems to be chopping around at the 200-day, but just hasn't been acting well for months. McDonald's, right? Like the DKNG again, a lot of hate on this one from folks when I say I think it's dead money. Talked about shorting up in the 40s, mid 40s. Talked about covering some down the mid 30s. Now you reshort around the 41 level, looking pretty solid. Airbnb chopping around. Costco. Interesting, because we talked about this due for a bounce, right, from the 100-day. I'd be watching this like mid 940s, right? Like you see right in here in the 50-day. See what happens in this. Sorry, I mean, I guess that's not the 940s, right? Oh, geez. Come on, Dan. Ooh, sneeze. Sneeze one for the team. There you go. That's what I was talking about. I'm watching this. If you zoom across, you can see it goes. I'd be watching it. Anyway, talking about this is the thing, man. You get oversold positions, you get bounces, you get overbought positions, you get pullback. Starbucks seems to be just, I don't know, dead money. We're still waiting for the Chipotle CEO. Oh, good God. Okay. Just stealing the Chipotle. I mean, this guy better learn how to package tacos or package burritos like Coffee, I don't know. Coffee is such a hard business, right? Like, I mean, you have your loyalty, but not everyone can succeed. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, there's just a lot of really good coffee joints around now, and not everyone, and everyone does. I don't think a lot of people like to support the corporate crap. If you look at what's in Starbucks, ooh, I mean, I hope they go more natural. Whatever. FedEx, big choppiness. Again, if you fail the 268s, I think you got massive amounts of downside. Caterpillar, we talked about these were oversold. They got, come on, show me Caterpillar. Meow, 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 meow. Look at this, man, rips right back into the blue zone. I set an alarm. I didn't do anything because I'm like, man, are we popping for the inauguration? Do we pull back? I don't know. I took a little risk waiting on some names, but look at D and IT. Look at that bounce back. Like, this is the thing. Come on, some of these material and industrial names acting like tech stocks. Nucor, again, we like this one long term, waiting for it to just chop out. X marks the spot, right? I don't know. I think they get bought out, but I'd be waiting for a weakness. Valet, I know Joe pulled the trigger on this one, said thank you for posting this. Look at the volume yesterday. Again, I'm not saying for sure that this can be like the rocket ship liftoff, but man, somebody had to carry some heavy weight here. I mean, 120 million shares. I mean, it feels like a bottom. It's just, it could be choppy before it rips off. Arrow, we like Arrow, right? Junior Copper, keep it simple. CCJ, we like CCJ. I mean, interesting how it pulls back 13-month low in copper prices. Watch the 200-day, right? I mean, just, it is what it is, right? I'm not saying I know for sure. But again, I like uranium. I mean, if you like nuclear power, you like the, I don't know, just watch the 200-day. Keep it simple, stupid, right? CF, remember, this was OPEX, so sometimes you will get weird volume on Fridays. Talked about, just again, Jay Solstice, love the guy. Always posting the option trades, the things that he's saying. Love everybody who does in general. Again, shout out to all you guys. Again, this is one that was on the radar for call buying earlier in the week. Solid move. 10 points. Mosaic, chopping off the lows. We like ag long term, right? Keep an eye on it. AA Aeron has earnings next week. I think it's Wednesday after the close. This one's tough. This one's tough to know what's going to happen. Again, we like this. If it pulls back, that'd be a freaking awesome sauce. XLF, man, nice bounce, continuation. Again, eyeing some levels. Keep an eye on it. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, this is easy. No. If you got stopped out like some folks did, hey, good for you. Got to. JP Morgan, like I said, I've got long dated puts. And here we go. Here's the trend line. I was watching it today. I'm like, oh, man, I really should take this and add, but I'm not. I'm going to be a little patient. Morgan Stanley. And he's got some nice bounces. Making new highs off the lows. Keep an eye on it. Bank of America, not so much making new highs, chopping around. Goldman Sachs definitely broke out. Got old trend line coming in. We'll see what happens here again. I mean, I'm not a fan of these formations, like this gap and then 3-day after earnings pop after big moves. It's the same thing. Like if you were flipping this upside down, and you know what I'm saying, leave a comment below if you know what I'm talking about. Like if this was a down move and then you had a gap and then you had a runaway drop after a huge down move, you got to start thinking contrarian. And again, it doesn't necessarily mean that it has to like turn around, but in my mind, I'd be thinking contrarian. Carry, we've talked about this being dog poo. Nice little bounce. Cool. XBI should be a risk on name, right? No. Let's keep an eye on it. It just is what it is, right? Like, I mean, you should be seeing junior bios fly. They're just not. Jets is a name we watching. I know some people shorting up here. It makes sense to me. XHB, we talked about housing should pop with interest rates. Okay, 200-day. Keep an eye on it. I mean, just this is why you watch channel. Like, keep an eye on levels. If you don't have the, I always tell people 8, 10 day, 8, 10, 20, 50, 100, 200-day moving averages or period. Those are the keys. I watch those religiously. I think the market really respects them. Now, again, every time, no, but a lot of the time. Solar, chop, fizz, but a relief it is. Nothing bouncing, chopping, nothing. These names look stuck. And again, I mean, do you really trust solar really has much of a bid? If we have a federal deficit and a president that's looking to cut costs and cut subsidies, does he cut them for oil? If he cuts them for oil, then oh my God, solar subsidies are dead. Corporate debt, you got to be out of your mind to buy this shit. I apologize for swearing, but you do. USO, again, we talked about oil pulling, hitting resistance. We saw it on the oil futures chart. Just keep an eye on it. UN Jizzle. Again, I hate this product. Not surprised. Little pullback. KLD. Again, we talked about taking profits down here. Please, for the love of God, take some profits. You go from 80s down to 20s, 30s. I mean, we talked about profits you talked about profits here. You got the bounce. We're due to bounce. I'm just saying, I don't know anything for certain, yo, but you got to be careful. Look at this XOP 3-day range. Go with. I'm telling you, simple trade. Fails, you're cool. Go short, breaks out, should continue higher. CVE again, a name that you would think would be kind of picking up some of these junior oil names. Not really looking so good. Gasoline names have caught a pop. We talked about that. Usually lead up. Cool. They've had some nice bounces. Are they sustainable? Probably not. That's where I would just be careful. MPC, same kind of thing. Keep an eye on it. ExxonMobil, your favorite? No, not really. I mean, it's a typical leader, but it is building a base. But you're back testing some trend line. I don't know. Probably 50-day. I don't know. BP, we talked about. I love this one. I mean, this was a great trade. Again, another J Solstice special. Broke the downtrend. Looked good. We all kind of agreed, like, where's this going to the 100-day? You got it. Now it's holding up. But you are, if you zoom out, you're at a VAP zone right in here. So just keep an eye on it. Not saying that it can't go higher. Just don't be surprised if it chops around. Chop around is not a bad thing for some of these names. Occidental, again, I think your friend Buffett's not going to lose on this thing, but it's a big chop zone, right? We feel like we've identified the bottom. If you get a retest, absolute fire. EQT, this one's been seeing a lot of call buying activity. I mean, at the highs, this should be a buyout target if that's what's going on. Just keep an eye on them. Again, congratulations for the folks who are trading. Thanks for the folks who are posting the trades. Again, you want as many smart, genius, great people looking at things. That's what you do. I mean, you can't know the whole market. You can't watch everything. And Flex LNG, last but not least, I like this down here. I mean, we talked about this with natural gas exporters. Just keep an eye on it. All right. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Remember the holiday on Monday, shortened week next week. Got a little bit of earnings, got a little bit of data, but the week after is the Fed week and then the big earnings week. So, again, I wouldn't be surprised if we backfilled and chopped next week after because this week had a nice up move. Got to call it what it is. All right. Have a great evening. Have a great weekend. Be safe. Have fun. Don't freeze to death.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, stop by the Discord room. A link is in the description below. Also, if you'd like to help support more free content, your PayPal link is in the description as well. I appreciate your continued support of the channel.